TIL the Hawaiian island of Kauai encourages tourists to check a dog out of shelters for a day as part of a field trip for dogs program. Having the dogs out and about gives them exercise and increases their chances of getting adopted by a local. My wife and I went to Turks and Caicos last year and they do the same thing. It's pretty crazy. People are lined up at the shelter each morning to get a dog to walk around with all day. And interestingly, the words for hello and goodbye are the same for Hawaiian dogs. Woof. If I do that, I'm going to end up having 5 dogs after one vacation. I did this last time I was in Kauai. It was an easy process. I took a Catahoula leopard dog named Naomi to the beach. She was quite nervous, especially in the car, but I hope she enjoyed getting away from the shelter for a few hours. You should be able to rent dogs like renting a bike for a day. The shelter gets funding. The dogs get walked. The human gets the happy. #everybody wins. So they basically have a dog lending library? Why is this not a thing everywhere? I'd like to make a complaint to the manager of dogs about this. And then my sister will take me in there and I will pick an ugly one that turns out to be an alien. Not happening again. There used to be a sandwich shop on Maui that loaned out dogs for the day. The best part, you didn't pick the dog picked you. My wife and I do it every time we visit Kauai. We heard about it on the radio the first time we were there on our honeymoon. We were like, oh my god, we totally have to do this. It was such a brilliant move to get dogs adopted out. Most dogs get adopted by tourists and brought back to the mainland. I like this. Great idea. As long as the shelter can curate the choice, avoiding complicated dogs that have special needs, given to visitors. I hope the idea grows in other places. I'd love to be able to get a dog for a weekend. Awesome to the max. How do we make this happen on Big Island? My wife and I did this in Kauai a few years ago. They let you walk around the shelter and choose the dog. We chose the oldest one we could find, thinking she rarely got out. We took her to the beach and a state park, and when we got back they had a journal to fill out, where you could write about the dog's temperament, etc. Turns out the dog we took gets taken out every day. It's like she perfected the, "Don't I look so sad, you should take me somewhere, look." My wife and I did this. His name was Mallow. He pooped in our rental car. 10/10 would do it again. Not in Hawaii, but I've been living this dream for 3 years now. They stay the night, or we go to the park or trail, or go get some chicken nuggies. Also taken one for ice cream before. People stared all weird like, bruh, we ain't sharing a cone, we each had our own. 10/10 would recommend anyone who has THR opportunity, do it. It's the bee's tits. People that live here do it too. My family's dog never went back to the shelter, smiley. It's not just Kauai, I think all the Hawaiian Islands do this. Certainly Maui does also, and it actually has a waiting list at this point. One of my co-workers did this, ended up adopting the dog and bringing it home to the mainland US. Clever trick to get dogs adopted and out of Hawaii. Test drive a dog while you are all high on tropical vacation dopamine under the guise of exercising them and socializing them, end up taking them home like a worthwhile souvenir. It is a plan to get dogs adopted that works perfectly unintentionally. Great idea. Did it on our trip there. Had an amazing time with this dude. https://imager.com/bzwa2 jpg. There's not a shot in hell I'm checking a dog out of a shelter, playing with it for a day, then bringing it back to the shelter. That dog is coming home with me come hell or high water. Edit. I do really like the idea though. I can't even play with the kitties at my shelter without giving my address, name, and current pets. I've been going to Kauai my whole life and didn't know this. So now I want to go on trip to Kauai. I did that when I went there. Our puppy was so nice. I never knew this. Thank you so much. Oh man, I love this. I don't care to own a dog, but I do like spending time with them occasionally. Would love telling people yup. He's up for adoption, and seeing a good boy get a forever home. I brought home a Kauai rescue a year ago. Kauai and Maui have the largest abandoned dog issues, for many reasons. And, unfortunately, they cause irreparable harm to the wildlife here. I am currently here on Kauai and I was hoping to bring home another dog in need, but, last week, the largest number of dogs ever, 600-ish, have been flown off the islands, 300 plus off Kauai, because of the lack of tourism. Please go to the Seattle WA shelter if you want to help an island dog face lizard rainbow. I know someone who did this and wound up adopting the dog to bring home. Apparently that happens a lot. We went to Kauai for our honeymoon and we came home with a dog. My husband found a flyer at the airport where they had this program listed under things to do. 10/10 would do again. He is the best boy. They do this on most islands actually. Me and my GF at the time did this a few years ago, on Maui. She felt so bad for having to bring the dog back to the shelter afterward, but the dog was adopted less than a week later by a couple that met the dog on the beach. Such a great program. Maui too. My wife and I checked out a wonderful pup named Cookie from the Maui Humane Society and he ended up getting adopted. It was a wonderful experience and we had a great time taking him around the island and playing on the beach. They supply everything you need in a to-go backpack, so it's incredibly convenient. The shelter near me does this. They give you a backpack with water, a bowl, nearby park trail maps, and poop bags. When you get back they even give you a little report card to fill out for your dog. It's fucking cute. We do this on Maui as well. It's called Beach Buddies and most of them actually get adopted by the tourists. And that's how I got 100 dogs. I did this during my trip to Kauai. I only wanted to take the dog for a walk. But I didn't have the heart to bring her back there. It wasn't easy, but I adopted her and bought a crate. Since I'm from Canada I had to fly her to the States and drive to Seattle to get her. I then drove to Vancouver and flew her to Saskatoon from there. She's now in her forever home, living with one of my renters who really wanted a dog. Her name is Muriel. Edit. Picture of Muriel. https://imager.com/gallery/tpumdr. Mind me PLS to do this when I'm on vacation on Hawaii someday. I've done this before. It was fun. We did this a few years ago. Great way to get the dogs out and so many people stopped to ask us about the pup on our hike/beach trip. I was on Kauai about half a decade ago, didn't know this existed. If it did back then. If I had fuck that entire vacation and let me play with the dogs every day. Maui does this too. And they have a tortoise mascot that runs around the grounds. This is how we got our girl. I convinced the wife on our second last day there to take a dog with us to Sleeping Giant and the rest is history. Not sure how she feels about moving from Kauai to Canada. I try to tell her snow is like shave ice but she's not having it. I've picked up a dog from Kauai Humane Society both times I visited. Plan on doing it every time I return. I believe Maui Humane Society does the same. We did this the last time we went to Hawaii. We ended up bringing one home with us. It took her a little bit to adjust to Alaska but she's had a good life here. I know someone who did this. And then their friends adopted the dog. They shipped it to the East Coast. Which I find kinda mean. But hey, a dog found a home. I wouldn't return the dog. I rented a dog named Carlos from the Kauai Humane Society and took him on a hike. He had the worst gas of any canine I've ever encountered. 10/10 would rent again. Maui Humane Society, on the island of Maui, Hawaii, does this as well. It's called the Beach Buddies program. If you are ever coming to Maui, post-COVID, please check it out if you love dogs. I can confirm this. I live on Kauai and my dog, Takati, who is a rescue and was an adopt-a dog at one time. Love him to bits, he is a huge goofball. Takati, http://imager.com/a/ca6l4vb